Himanshu, we are not able to hear the voice.
Chennai, known as the gateway to South India, is one of the major IT and data center hubs in the country. The Adani Group now plans to build world-class data center infrastructure in the city of Chennai. Chennai, known as the gateway to South India, is one of the major is the biggest hyperscale hubs data center in Chennai. The Adani Group, with a 32 now plans to build world-class data center, it is strategically located in the city of Chennai, IT Park, with known as the Adani to the national highway data center, one of the major is the biggest hyperscale hubs data center. The data center is being built the Adani Group with the standards with megawatts of security. It is strategically located in the city of Chennai, redundant fiber connectivity, the Adani and the national highway data center. One of the major is the biggest hyperscale shall be equipped.
Friends, I'm sorry for this technical glitch. I think it is getting repeated. Himanshu, please address this. We apologize for this problem.
Hope no one has opened the CI High platform in your laptops.
Wherever we are, whatever we're doing. The information that empowers and connects us comes back to our global data centers. Built for a secure, sustainable, and digital world, they make the invisible visible and anything possible. And that's the great thing. Together, we do great things.
Chennai, known as the gateway to South India, is one of the major IT and data center hubs in the country. The Adani Group now plans to build world-class data center infrastructure in the city of Chennai. The Adani Chennai One Data Center is the biggest hyperscale data center in Chennai with a 32 megawatt IT load. It is strategically located in Sipcot IT Park with direct connectivity to the National Highway and other major IT hubs in Chennai. The data center is being built to meet global standards with 7 layers of security, best-in-class power usage effectiveness, redundant fiber connectivity and green energy. The Adani Chennai One shall be equipped to provide one-stop solution for all telecom and IT infrastructure needs of hyperscale customers, including low-latency network connectivity, high-performance computing and other value-added services. Through this data center, the Adani Group aspires to contribute to the local economy while continuing a work towards nation building at large and being steadfast on our philosophy of growth with goodness.
So we shall start the session now.
Yeah. Very good afternoon, friends. Welcome you all for the third day of the Green Data Center Summit. I hope you all had enjoyed the last 2 days. The last 2 days we have been discussing on variety of aspects related to the green data center, related to energy efficiency, various technological options, etc., etc. And today we are the first session we are going to focus on the future of data centers. As part of this session, we are fortunate to have Mr. Vinod Jawar, Chief Operating Officer from Adani Connects Data Centers. So he would be delivering his special address and also make a presentation. And also we have a technological presentation on immersion cooling from Mr. Raghuveer Singh. Raghuveer Singh, you all know, he has been with us from the day one here. So it's my pleasure to introduce both the speakers as part of the session. The first speaker, Mr. Vinod Jawar, it's my pleasure to introduce him. He is the Chief Operating Officer of Adani Connects Data Centers. He's a senior technical professional with the ideal band of engineering, managerial, and leadership skills. And he has got more than 30 years of experience in managing operations and infrastructure projects across sectors, including data centers, telecom, banking, and process industries. He's an industry veteran with a specific expertise on design, engineering, project management, and operations of large, complex, built-to-suit greenfield projects of data centers and telecom industries. He is also a believer and a believer of responsible, sustainable, and green engineering practices. He has over the years he has developed the unique skills of customizing design to meet these requirements. So it's our pleasure to introduce Mr. Vinod Jawar to you all. So now may I request Mr. Vinod Jawar to deliver his special address. Over to you, sir.
Hi, Karthikeyan. Good afternoon. It's a pleasure again to be part of these CIS IGBC summit. And believe from me, some of the summits I look forward, and one of them is this. It's been, I've seen it grow from a small setup to such a large event, and very eminent speakers have been participating in this. And I'm very confident that this forum will be a very large forum where exchanges of ideas will take, where we will lay foundation for how the sustainability and green business will grow in India, not just on data center. I'm sure with many founding and really committed guys like Karthikeyan and Shivraj, and obviously Mr. Berry is there. I'm sure this is a forum which will go many miles. And I'm very happy always to participate in this thing, because we as a business leaders and business drivers, we need to always look beyond the short term to look at how we can be more sustainable and green. That's how we will survive over a long period of time on that. So everything we do, needs to have that kind of vision for us. So I'm extremely happy to be part of this discussion. I did attend some of that yesterday, and I found that the interactions have been extremely good with the general awareness, knowledge base, and ability to share knowledge has been really up in the scale to the one which is what we say is a matured kind of thing. So we are getting there. I'm sure in the next couple of years, we will be no different from any of the developed countries in terms of managing, especially data center infrastructure. So thanks a lot. I'm very happy to be a part of this. As usual, we nowadays work from home, work from desk has allowed us to speak less and present more. So I'm no exception. So everything is a PPT for us, and I'm going to try to put something across to you to exchange some thoughts. This is something which we believe, I personally believe some of them, is what the future of data center will look like. And it's been an interesting journey. Let me try to present something here. Okay, I think, can you see this, guys, gentlemen?
Sir, please put this on full screen mode.
Let me put this. Is this correct?
Yes, sir. Perfect to go, sir.
Okay, so let me start with where we are today. And I've seen this whole industry grow right from early 2000s to about 2020, about 15, 20 years of this journey happening. We have moved a little bit, and we have moved, but the last few years with the onset hyperscaler demands and all, we have moved quite fast in the last few years. But still, we feel that what we are today is more of an standard product. So some of the key drivers for where data center co-location, see, I am from a co-location provider background. So all these inputs are more from perspective of a co-location pair, less from a captive, but I think that's more applicable for the both kind of businesses on that. So we have been driven, location has been the key factor as of today. So we are trying to set up data centers in very heavy fiber network density where redundancy is available, and we are able to put something where power is the infrastructure is quite reliable. So bulk power and fiber has been driving for us. Hence, there is a big amount of concentration of data centers in cities like Mumbai, Chennai, and all, where some of this basic infrastructure are quite good on that. We've been also looking at the drivers while we've got the land ready, the infrastructure there, and we are now looking at energy efficiencies, how we can look and give value proposition to our customers. And it's been primarily all said and done. It's all boiling down to how good we are on HVAC's efficiency. So it's the energy efficiency in data center. Normally you ask anything, let's look at lowering PUE, let's look at optimizing HVACs. There has been some substantial improvement, especially in terms of cold oil temperature management and all, and high return temperature. This has increased the efficiencies, but it's all HVAC centric. This is what it is. So what are the type of data centers we are looking at it? We are migrating from hybrid cloud rather very fast, and it's gaining upper hand compared to on-premise solutions. So most of the places we are seeing a good migration. That's actually one of the key drivers for the data center to grow. So the traditional data center of size of 10 megawatt to 15 megawatts is now going up to 100 megawatt plus. This is the campus which we feel today's scenario is we have got many operators going on that. And we talk about renewable and sustainability. While we do a lot of discussion, many of us have gone into ESG framework, etc. But most of our sustainability efforts are driven in managing the power action of that. And renewable is a significant portion for that. So most of the data center operators are tying up for a large quantity of renewable power through long-term PPAs and all. And obviously, there is a price which is not a good trend in my own opinion, that we are paying less for a green product is not a good trend, but that's what the market is now. I'm sure that will get corrected as we go. As responsible users of co-location data center, the hyperscalers, they need to probably will understand that renewable comes at a cost, and that's something we believe that the renewable energies would get that dues in that. But presently, the market condition is not only making them green, but it's also giving some financial benefit on that. So, and for technology, we mainly on the operational technology, what is today, it's kind of a mix of integrated DCIM and BMS. So every operator has evolved in its own design, but it includes some real-time monitoring, some equipment analysis, basic, but there is a huge dependency on human interface in managing the operation of that. So that's what I feel that's where we are today. And what is the way forward? What is that we are seeing in the next 3-4 years time, or even 5 years time? What we call as tomorrows. What is that we see as near future on that? This is something purely from a co-location perspective. We see a trend of completely prefabricated and pre-engineered data centers, which will be fabricated in controlled conditions like factories, and then shifted and assembled at site. This is what we believe is going to happen now. So the complexity of construction at site will be reduced greatly as the engineering standards and the manufacturers gain ground significantly on that. This is one we feel is in the radar of most of us, and I'm sure everyone is working through. So, and it comes as the industry starts maturing on that. See, energy efficiencies, while it is HVACs, there will be a push to see how the overall, heat generations is reduced on that. Liquid and immersed cooling is some of the things which a lot of people are trying on that. So we have got, and that also will combined with AI and controlled environment, we will be able to manage this kind of cooling requirements very efficiently. I'm sure the next speaker, Raghu, is itching to tell about his way of cooling from his side. But this is something which is already we are seeing a lot of guys. There have been inquiries where people are asking to just supply chill water line to their water cooled racks, which actually helps them to manage the efficiency better in terms of that. So this is something is a near future we see. So we will see. It's not like an economical or the wide gap, but we see the structure of the data center capacities. Either will be less than 10 megawatt, more towards the edge and remote and small scale data center, not more than 10, but large one will be not less less than 100 megawatt. This is the trend. So there will be a trend of 10, or there will be a trend of 100 plus in the campus capacity. So that this is what we see in the near future for us in terms of that. Renewable again will be sustainability will be driven more from renewable portion of it, while the efforts will be to get close to 100% renewable energy on that. There is an active push to look at fuel cell green hydrogen as an alternate for near future. Some of the pilots have been done on that, and that's interesting to look at it. Technology has seen the early invent of AI now being part of the integrated operation system and tying up with the DCIM on that. So that is something which will be there, and technology will be something which will be the driving force going forward. It's all will be technology, it will be sustainability and ability to turn around your assets into production at the shortest period of time will be the key thing which we see in the near future on that. So that's something which most of us are focused on. That is something which we believe is the right way to go forward on that. And that's something all of us are already putting some efforts on that, especially in terms of technology and efficiencies on that. So what's the future beyond that? Where are we looking at beyond that? What is the big picture on that? Okay. So this is something we feel that uh, data center will no longer be something which will occupy huge assets, prime locations and all. They will be in offshore, small and distributed, including it may be on suburbs, underwater, and etc. etc. So this is where the whole long-term view, as far as we look at it. So it will not occupy prime property. It will not occupy prime assets. It will be something hidden in the background, silently working, meeting its requirements and doing its job, spread across like BTS towers all across the country. This is what we believe is happening on that. Energy efficiencies will see a vast improvement, primarily from the fact that we see that whatever is HVAC cooling as a medium for cooling the servers will no longer be there. So we will probably use what is available naturally to cool and not depend on HVAC equipment. So we are seeing AC-less DCs coming forward in years to them, that automatically improves the efficiencies for us going forward. This is, I'm sure, the chip manufacturers and the electronics that we have seen already a trend already in most of the telecom infrastructure. Now, most of the BTS are on open environment, working with no external cooling requirement. So this will drastically enhance the efficiency of that. In terms of technology of operation, what we call as a lights out data center is primarily because there will be almost near zero human presence in those data centers. They will be operating in totality in full automatic mode. The system will learn by itself, correct by itself, and take all necessary steps required to keep it running on that. So these are something which we believe that going forward, I don't know what is the future. Is it next 10 years, 15 years, 20 years? But this is where the trend is going. We will have remote, without people silently working and running on its own show. That's what we feel the future ready is on that. Data center. There will be a hybrid data center and sprinkle across, as we said, in the location. We believe that large hyperscale capacity data center may not be the trend going down the line, 15, 20 years down the line. Yes, especially in a country like India, which is vast, well connected, as the data consumption improves drastically across all the, and we see in 15, 20 years, the parity which is there in terms of the rural and urban in terms of data consumption is going to be coming down, and difference is going to come down. You will have equal consumption. So we'll have sprinkler of data centers spread across various locations and not depending on a large hyperscaler. So everything will be small in scale, but large in numbers, fully automated, no air conditioning, unique place like of things. This is what we see on that. In terms of renewable sustained water power, we do need to have in terms of renewable will continue, but we will see a rapid gains in terms of green hydrogen and use. There are other things which we will part of the society, and because we see in next 15, 20 years, the local community and the society will be a big player in deciding how we run and how we give back to the local community on that. So recycling of waste, water, using desalinated water, etc., is some of the things which we will be driven to do forward as we go forward. While the consumption of water will come down drastically, power will be also localized in terms of green hydrogen. So this is something which we see going forward as future ready. The lights out data center is something which is of extremely high importance, technology driven, and it will consume a lot of investment going forward to make it that kind of thing, make it ready for that technology deployments. That's what we see as that. So Yeah, like anyone else in Adani, we also are trying to step by step trying to prepare for the future. Some baby steps we have taken and beyond what is the present here, and some of them which is there as part of the group initiative is use of green hydrogen as an alternate for us. That is something which we're going. We're looking at liquid cooling server racks and AI managed operations to a great extent. So this is something on a very preliminary stage. Also, we are taking use of public wastewater and delayer plant as an alternate for the near future on that, what we said to use on that. This is something that we are aggressively following up in the in part of the design criteria for us. This is something which we are actively pursuing with various people of doing prefab, pre-engineered, tested, assembled factory, and then shifted and assembled site again on that. This is something which we, thanks to the our partnership with Edge Connects and their efforts of the last few years in trying to get an operating system, which is a combination of DCIM and the BMS monitor system with capability of AI. Something proprietary called Edge operating system is something which we are going to use. This is what we feel is one of the unique way to manage real-time operations, and this is something which integrates very well with all the sorry, did I lose? Can you hear me, guys?
Yeah, we are able to hear you, sir. Yes.
I think you need to upload your presentation again, sir.
Okay, let me do that. Thank you. Sorry for that. Can you see this, please?
Yes, sir. You please continue.
Great. So this is quickly jumping into what else we are doing. Obviously, our immediate future is to get close to 100% renewable power. It's combination of wind, solar, storage devices, and green hydrogen is there. So this is where we feel the future of data center looks like in terms of technology. So to summarize, it's going to be a very interesting journey. The leaders and the front runners will be one who invest heavily into technology, reduces the man machines, and parallelly is sensible to the requirement of the local communities and their efforts in trying to be sustainable business to one is one who would we strongly feel will be a long-term and a well-recognized player on this. So that's all from my side. Let me stop sharing and then we go back on that. Thank you. I hope I didn't take more than what was expected to do. This is topic which never ends. Future is something which we all look forward to. Thank you, team.
Absolutely fine, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Friends, we all had, we have listened to Mr. Vinod Jawar. Obviously, market leaders like Adani's thought process, it puts a lot of pressure on the technology suppliers also to measure up to their expectations. So they need to, obviously, they need to work on and then come out with the innovative solutions to achieve the vision of Mr. Vinod Jawar. People like Mr. Vinod Jawar coming out with the innovative ideas. It is very, very difficult for us to even imagine, the AC-less DCs. That is something really, really attractive. We have been focusing on the air conditioning system so far. At the moment we talk about energy efficiency, we all will focus on the HVAC system. So it is very, very unique to look at, okay, AC-less DCs. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your thought leadership and also sharing your, the futuristic ideas with the data center industry. Thank you very much. Now we will go to the next presenter, Mr. Raghuveer Singh. He is going to present on the immersion cooling, probably a business case for the green data centers. Mr. Raghuveer Singh is a director from Vertiv Energy Private Limited. Of course, he has been already introduced to you all. Again, let me introduce Mr. Raghuveer Singh to you. Mr. Raghuveer Singh has over 15 years of experience in data center cooling. He has been leading the cooling group, the cooling task force formed by IGBC for developing the ECBC guidelines. So over to you, Mr. Raghuveer. It's a pleasure to have you on board. Request you to make the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Karthik. Thank you very much. Thanks for the nice introduction and the all support what CIIGBC has been, providing to not just to, for making this user guide, but I think for the whole industry in terms of leading it towards the futuristic approach. So I'll just share my screen now. Hope you can see that screen. Mr. Karthik, can confirm it, please.
Yes, sir, we are able to see. Please proceed, sir.
Okay, thank you. So very good afternoon to all of you. So as I said that it's really nice to be part of this program, and always exciting about the new technologies and what's happening in the market. So a lot has been talked about the coming growth of the data center space and a lot many things happening around on the liquid cooling. Yesterday and day before yesterday, in fact, Mr. Binod Jha just touched about it, how important it is to reduce the energy in data center cooling. So I'm just going to again, refresh the memory related to that what's happening on the GPU CPU side and on the data center space. So over 6 months, this is a Gartner analysis, Mr. David, who talked about that. They are hearing in the market that 60 to 100 kilowatt of rack kind of a density is being talked about. So this is something really making a change to the market, wherein we have about 8 to 10 kilowatt of average moving in a larger data center nowadays on the design side, and the average data center is still are being around 6-7 kilowatt. But slowly every year we see about average density increase from 3 to 5 kilowatt of rack. So which means that about 5 years back, we used to see average density around 3 to 5 kilowatt a rack, and now we see about 8 to 10 kilowatt a rack, and it is in fact increasing in some of the applications. And applications like HPCs or IoTs of things, or even artificial intelligence and 5Gs, we see the densities are going much beyond. Even the densities are going beyond the tune of 40-50 kilowatt a rack. So you can see 451 research voice of service providers. Machine learning and artificial intelligence is contributing a lot in terms of the densities growth and HPC's application and modeling and simulation and low latency are some of the the application side which are catering to this density increase. And all of these applications have become part of our day-to-day activity. And it's no more, we can't really live without these applications. And these are all applications which will take us to the future, where we have, a lot of backend applications running on this. So what it results into all of these applications gives us, actually, if you see this leads into a high density environment, and it requires an environment which is flexible and environmental resilience and modular and scalable in terms of the applications. So
yeah, Raghuveer, sorry to interrupt you. You may off your video because slides are getting so much blur in that. Maybe because of that is internet bandwidth also. So it would be better to off your video and then share the slides.
Just a minute, please. Is it better now?
Yes.
Shiva? Is it better?
Yes, yes, it is better now.
Okay, okay, perfect. Thank you. So we need a solution which is cost effective, fast and flexible, energy efficient. Like one of our favorite superhero talked about that when with great power comes great responsibility. So it's not just that we have the power, density, design, and we should be responsible for how to really handle this great compute power. So then how would you design and choose a cooling solution? So that would be capable of handling ultra heat density servers and extremely efficient, not just in terms of the power, but in terms of the water also. So we have to look the holistic view of using resources, and highly reliable and environmental friendly. So if you see, all of these are becoming part of any data center design today, and a lot of companies like Amazon, Google, or Microsoft, they have been talking about to go carbon neutral by Amazon talking about 2030, and even Microsoft talking about 2030 as going carbon neutral, and even giving back whatever has been consumed, generated carbon neutral in past by Microsoft. They want to give that entire thing back by 2050. So which means that the lot has been happening into this space, and this cannot happen without having a good cooling solution. So how we have traveled over a period of time in terms of the cooling solution, we are always going towards the heat source. The cooling source is going towards the heat source to reduce the energy consumption. So it has started with the perimeter system, like the cooling units, be it CRAC or CRA, DX based or chilled water based systems, which were able to meet PV levels of close to 1.7 to 1.5, these kind of concepts. And then we further moved near to the cooling heat source, which is server basically. So we went to in-row or a rear door heat exchanger, then further try to reduce the PV. And then the concept came like the DCLC kind of a cooling concept where you could further reduce the PV. But have you traveled to the last stage? Really not. I mean, there is still a future where we have to go towards one. That's an ideal scenario, and that's where we have been traveling towards. So what is that which can lead us to the lowest PV levels is what you will see here. So now, instead of cooling it from air or reaching back to the server level, we go and immerse the server into the liquid itself. So that's where is immersion cooling, what we are talking about now. And you can immerse the server inside of dielectric coolant, and this dielectric coolant is safe and environmental friendly, zero ODP, zero GWP, and easy to use, easy to handle in terms of the no harm to human. It doesn't evaporate, doesn't degrade over a period of time. Like the life of the coolant is more than the life of the data center itself, which is typically, the coolant life is more than 10 to 15 years. So you can see how it looks like when you deploy this in a data center rack. Now, when we travel to immersion system, so we travel to a PUE of close to 1.04 or 1.05. So that's where we are talking about the mechanical PUE. And I think for Indian kind of an environment where you have actually most of the location where data center are being built, Mumbai, Chennai being hub, and that's really in a coastal area, and you cannot deploy more free cooling concept. And so there is no really a big choice, but us to move towards a lower PUE is actually the liquid cooling where we have to move. And liquid cooling, even in those kind of locations or in coastal location all across India, you can achieve this 1.04 in 1.05 PUE. So this is something very exciting And I think we as an industry should really look at these kind of solutions. So we talked about, what is the need of these kind of solutions, and now we'll talk how this solution work and what are the basic components of this solution. So this solution is this is the rack you can see here. This is the immersion cooling rack where the servers will be immersed inside the dielectric coolant, and this is a CDU, coolant distributing unit, which has multiple pumps and a redundant controller to provide you high uptime, and outside dry cooler or a cooling tower. So these are the only three primary components. No chillers, no cry units, no cracks, no access floor. All of these components are not required. So you can know now that when you remove these kind of heavy power consuming components, your power drastically comes down, and that's how you achieve that 1.04 kind of a mechanical PV. And when you deploy these kind of concept, your overall cost on the infrastructure side comes down drastically. You can slash the capex on the infrastructure side, and you can also get a large flexibility in terms of loading the racks, right up to 200 kilowatt a rack. So this is not just something we are just talking now. It's something which is really happening across the world. So and slowly in India also we see now some of the applications where the density has reached to this level, and it can be deployed in 42U or 52U racks environment, and you can use most of the space for the server. So it's like 52U means you can use even up to 52U or 50U for the server itself, and behind the outside of this ice rack you will have the cables and disconnected, and inside there is a provision provided for the PDU and those kind of accessories which are part of the servers. So just a small video here, a minute video. I think you can just
Grammarly can help you write quickly and confidently, so you never have to slow down at work. Stay on top of emails, documents, and more without having to stay put. Whether you're working on your computer or on your phone, Grammarly provides instant writing advice, so your messages are clear without sounding rushed. Instant corrections make your writing mistake-free, while keeping it short, sweet, and fitting in tone. Join more than 20 million people who use Grammarly's writing assistant every day. Download Grammarly today for better, smarter, faster writing at work.
So thank you. So what are the other benefits we have in immersion cooling is, one is that you can reduce the flow height. So it can be just half of the.
Vertiv is a $4.3 billion.
Sorry for the disturbance. You can reduce the height of the floor from 6 to 6.5 meters, which is currently considered in most of the new data center designs. You can reduce it to 2.5 to 2.7 meters. So you drastically reduce the construction cost of the data center. And on the part load is the big challenge for data center PV right now. So this concept can go as low as even 3 to 4% of the compute power, and you can achieve still a good PV levels. So this is very, very important point. And you can achieve high density up to 200 kilowatt. And this coolant is 200 times more efficient in terms of removing the heat compared to air. So how do you really maintain this? This is the one most common question we are being asked from the user side, that how do you maintain these servers? How do you service them in emergent environment? So in just simple 3 steps is what you can do. So this is an emergent rack where the servers are inside the rack, and you can just pull up the server here and place on the rack rails. So rack rails are provided here for the service purpose, and just pull it and keep it on that. And the coolant which is over the servers will just drain back to the rack, and you can do the service. It's the same like what you do in air cooling racks. So is this solution proven, or is it just something that we are just talking about, something futuristic concept? I mean, it's really deployed, and from a decades, these kind of systems are running across. And this is one of the case study in Frontera for Texas Advanced Computing Center, where the world's 5th most powerful supercomputer has been installed, and it's running. So this data center was existing, and there were various density, different density racks, right from lower density, which were being by the air cooling, and then there were medium density racks going up to a capacity of crossing beyond 20-30 kilowatt. For those who are cooled by DCLC concept, and then there were racks which were having GPUs, and those GPU based server racks were cooled by liquid immersion cooling. So in the same environment, you can see here in the picture, these are the floor grills, because this was the existing data center. So in front of the existing data center, here these are the ice racks which are cooling actually the GPUs. So this data center is running from last 1 year now, and there is not even a single downtime in terms of the servers heating or hotspots or these kind of problems. So another case study is Houston, Texas. CGG is the customer. It was deployed in 2010, so about a decade ago, and this data center is running successfully. And in fact, after this successful installation, they have been using again and again same kind of a concept. In last 10 years, they have deployed a huge capacities, and in one data center they have reached to 1.4 megawatt also now. And this data center is again existing infrastructure where they had existing air cooling setup. That air cooling setup was converted into liquid immersion cooling environment. So still you see here the floor tiles, and these are the ice racks which are placed there. So the CDUs are placed under the access floor here. This was a special kind of a CDU designed for CGG application. So the message is that this kind of solutions are possible to do in retrofit data center in the existing environment or in the new data center. So it makes sense for both of these applications, and easy deployment. In 1.5 day, you can deploy one module of up to 200 kilowatt. So it's a fast deployment, easy and flexible to maintain and service. The another study is for one of the site in New York, which was again into the New York City area, and you can imagine the real estate cost and the other resources cost into that area. So this company was running out of actually the white space area. So they wanted some kind of a solution which could save real estate cost and of course power. So they went for immersion cooling, and about 1.5 megawatt of installation has been done. In a minimum footprint area, they could dense the higher and higher kilowatt racks into a minimum footprint and save energy efficiency up to 30%, and use existing chiller, whatever infrastructure they had, they could use that existing setup. So overall, you get more than 50% on the construction of a data center cost, and on the cooling energy, you achieve up to 90%. So this 90% comes from the saving from the cooling side, saving from even the IT side. When you immerse the servers into a liquid immersion environment, you are removing the fans also, or making it ideal basically. So you save 8 to 10% minimum there. In some servers, even more than that. So your IT power itself comes down. So in the same facility where you are using, let's say you had PUE of 1.5, and in the same data center, if you achieve PUE of 1.2 or 1.25, overall data center PUE, not just mechanical, you achieve overall PUE of 1.2, then imagine what the balance power which you're consuming for the electrical or cooling infrastructure that can be used for your IT and your PUE in India. This is the PUE achievable 1.2, 1.25 kind of a PUE is achievable in a data center in coastal environment like India. And overall, you achieve 50% of the cost in terms of the overall energy and the power and the maintenance, including compared to the air cooling data center which are being built today in the data center space. So with this, I end my presentation. But I would my overall submission here is that I think this is there's a lot of fear which was there in the industry, how to use these kind of technologies. So the message which I want to pass on here is these are really easy to do. Already in India, we have now one successful running installation of a 25 kilowatt rack in India now for a POC, and 2 more being installed very soon. In a month or so, we will have another 2 more installed, and a lot of big data center being worked on for a future design on this kind of technology. So I think we have to move towards a futuristic approach. So with this, I end my presentation. Thank you, Shivraj, and thank you, Karthikeyan.
Thank you, Mr. Raghuveer. So we have received a couple of questions. Yeah, first question is for Mr. Vinod. Yeah, sir, there is a small question. Data centers are energy guzzler. Thinking net zero for data center is truly inspiring. Can you please further explain about this concept, how it will be a imagination for data centers?
No, I missed that portion. What is the question? Can you repeat, Shivraj? Sorry on that.
Yes, sir, I repeat it. Data centers are energy guzzlers. Thinking net zero for data center is truly inspiring. Can you please further explain about this concept?
Okay. No, I think net zero is no longer a concept. I think it's going more and more going to be a reality on that. So net zero is what we take from the environment. We ensure that we give equally back to this environment, so that we are not polluting anything, and the ecosystem, especially on that. So the biggest one thing which is good thing about data center is it's not a polluting industries. The impact of carbon footprints and the environment is mainly coming from the power consumptions, which has got an indirect impact on that. But since the load is constant and the load is very high in terms of the consumptions, there are ways to ensure that we are hooked on to renewable energy on that. So that's one big way to look at it. The other ways, which is a default way, which we are in Indian subcontinent, we have been done, is water consumptions. So water is a big portion of cooling in a data center, but because of the unpredictability and the scarcity of water spread across various locations, the Indian data center industry by default has moved towards air-cooled ones. So the water consumption specifically has come down drastically for us on that. And while there is a impact on certain PUE level, that is to great extent substantiated by India's ability to generate renewable power more per square feet of area in land compared to some of the areas like Europe and etc. So to that extent, a sustainability data center net zero efforts reaching in India is maybe easier compared to some cities like Singapore and etc. on that, because of the unique position. It has got its downside in terms of infrastructure, but one of the slides which I talked about earlier is it is not just about addressing the local demand. We see future as a local Asia Pacific hub of India being an Asia Pacific head of processing all data centers, because we will be far more sustainable in terms of running data centers because on account of the locations and the environment benefit we have, and our ability to work on some of these design factors for a cold chillers, etc. So the answer in shortfall is net zero is mainly coming from how we consume power, how we reduce water, and obviously offsite construction, reducing the impact of soil contaminations, etc., is all part of the whole things which we do. I hope I gave an answer which satisfies you.
Yes, sir. I think that's a great journey you have already set for Adani Connects data center to achieve net zero goals. So you have also mentioned during your presentation, you are able to have the green power for your data centers, and that is also cheapest. So once it is having 100% net zero, then it will offer more and more benefit to the data center. So there is one more question from one of the MEP consultant. He has asked, green hydrogen is a great thought. Adani is planning to have green hydrogen for 100% of the power to data center, or would you like to have in gradual approach like 20%, 30% from hydrogen power also?
See, the green hydrogen, presently we are running some pilots. This pilot is to close the gap between when we reach 100% renewable energy sourcing from the utility grid. Then there is a question mark which is there from all the time. What happens when the utility fails? You're running the whole generator on fossil fuel on that. So the pilot process is to ensure that the backup generators are replaced by a fuel cell which are powered by green hydrogen for us. So in that case, every element of power which you use is from a sustainable source and not from a fossil source. That is presently. But the biggest challenge which we have in green hydrogen is the cost of production and the extremely high cost of distribution of that. But ultimately, as this thing picks up and we are able to get many customers on that, there is a possibility that we could run the whole system on green hydrogen power and less depend on utility and all those things. So presently, the answer is we are doing it for a very small setup of trying to take care of the backup power through a green hydrogen system.
Yes, sir. Sir, I do have one question from our side, from IGBC point of view. Very recently, we developed one framework for net zero water. There we have introduced different concepts, and one of the concepts was to have the use of municipal wastewater. Many a time, many of the cities, they do have a lot of water, but this water will never ever be utilized anywhere in the country. So you also mentioned this in your presentation. So what is your thought about it, to have the treatment of wastewater coming from the cities also, and then use this water for the data center?
We are extremely serious on that, Shivraj, and we like this idea very much, because it is not just about managing water, it's also taking burden out of this strained municipal thing, and probably also extending it for a social cause. So we firmly believe we have done some baby steps in Chennai to see how we can take this forward. I'm more than happy to work with CII and to see how we can extend this. We are ready to commit for that kind of capex and the time and effort required to do. But we did some work for Chennai and we're taking it forward. In the interest of confidentiality, we don't value, but we could probably work with you completely on that.
Right, sir.
I firmly believe that it's an extremely good concept, which is also socially responsible action from our side.
Right, sir. So this we have defined in our net zero water framework, and after this data center summit, we will connect you offline to discuss about this concept.
Excellent.
Yeah. So we have one question for Mr. Raghuveer. Raghuveer, have you implemented this concept in data center where you can showcase the reduction in PUE? Because you just mentioned some small capacities has been deployed in some of the data centers in India. So what was the PUE earlier, and after the deployment, what was the PUE? You please unmute yourself.
Yes, Dr. Shivraj, we have done one small installation in India. That was not in the existing data center, but that's a, I mean, customer has separately, independently put one demo sort of a thing, and they are really exploring this in a big way. So before bigger deployment, they want to see how it really works, and what is the PV label and the other operation related points. So they are able to achieve PV close to 1.06, 1.07, little higher than what we typically declare, because what's happening is, I mean, this is a kind of testing environment we are doing now. But in actual scenario, we see the PV close to 1.04, 1.05.
Okay, yeah. There was a small question, but I could not completely understand. But I think he's asking about, are you able to eliminate the losses from UPS while having the deployment for immersion cooling?
See, UPS as such is a, I mean, if the question I have rightly understood is something, I think, okay, so two answers to this probably. One is a UPS as such is a, independent component. So your UPS efficiency, you have to select the best of the efficient UPS. There are available, up to 96% double conversion efficiency. And even in eco mode or, VI mode, you can get up to 98%. So that's related to UPS is a separate component. But yes, the sizing of the UPS, the sizing of the gensets, the sizing of your overall electrical infrastructure comes down drastically when you deploy liquid immersion cooling concept. Because as I said, the PV levels are drastically low in a liquid immersion cooling. So your overall electrical sizing comes down. So you are saving, for example, let's take one example. What you take case of a 1 megawatt data center. So 1 megawatt IT power, if you relate that to immersion cooling environment, your first saving will come from the removal of the fans, which will come close to 8 to 10%. So your first level reduction has happened there itself. And then you move on the efficiency for the cooling. So your mechanical efficiency, PV, which is typically 1.25 or 1.3, depending on across India at different places, different PV levels based on the ambient and all, but close to 1.25, let's take 1.25 to 1.28, mechanical PV. That comes down to 1.04. This energy which you have saved here, this savings will come, you can reduce the genset, UPS sizing and all of your electrical infrastructure.
Right. So I think we need to have the exclusive workshop for immersion cooling later on. So we will get connected.
Maybe, yes. Yeah. It's exciting. So a lot of questions actually. Yeah.
So let me thank Mr. Vinod Jawar, CEO Adani Connex Data Center, for sharing his wisdom. Truly speaking, we are waiting for your presentation and to have your special address, because your presentation will put a lot of thoughts and it will open up the new breaking verticals for the industry. So you have defined new path goals for all the service providers, especially from data centers, and hopefully it will be addressed in near future. There are many things which are really making innovations in data center. We have come across through your presentation. There are many more things with regard to hydrogen, cheapest power, which is also green power, and having complete control of AI and ML in your future data centers. So I think it was a really fantastic to have your presentation, and we are really honored to have you for this data center summit. Thank you, Mr. Raghuveer, for introducing the new concept of immersion cooling, and I hope it has huge potential. Today we are talking a data center of having PUE at 1.7. We have seen data center operating at PUE of 2 also. So it will simply break down their journey coming from 1.8 to 1.05, 06. Even it is better to have 1.10 also. So thank you very much for sharing this presentation, and very soon we will have some exclusive program on this. Thank you everyone, and
Thank you, Dr. Shiraz.
Thank you. Try to visit the exhibition, and we are also studying a very interesting session at 3:30. Please join there. Thank you everyone.
Yeah. Thank you everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vinod sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Stay safe. Take care.